Hey, good morning team. Wyatt here with OVM. Today we're working on a Honda Odyssey, the FL350 and an FL250. So I've got a couple Honda Odysseys here well before their time. Pretty neat machines. I believe it's an 86. I'll double check. And today we're going to be working on an electrical starting issue. The actual start with the button doesn't work. He can pull start it. Originally when he contacted me a couple weeks ago, it wasn't running, and now he's got it running. So I'll be taking a look at the start circuit for electrical troubleshooting. And the other one is going to be a brake issue. He has parts for the brakes for me to replace, so we'll get into that and see what's going on. Alright, come have a look at the machines. Alright, here's the FL350. She's a two-stroke. And again, here's the starting relay. I already disconnected some wires, just taking a quick look at things. But the harness goes all the way up to the front here. And this is the key, obviously. So we will be doing testing on it. Should have power in. And then, according to the wire diagram, there should be a neutral switch, which is kind of like a gatekeeper to that area. Again, the customer got it running. That's still missing a few things. The airbox covers off, so he's running a straight filter there. He wanted me to do some brake work on it too, but he's missing a banjo bolt for the front left tire. He's gonna go try to find that. And then we get the master cylinder up here, right? And then the brakes you just activate just like this. Alright, welcome everyone. So, doing some voltage tests here. I have my meter connected to the negative end of the battery. The battery itself has a pretty decent voltage, and that voltage it comes up to the relay, which is right here, and then it'll come through this fuse. Now the power is getting through the fuse into the harness, because we're not losing a bunch of power that way. Now at the relay itself, I'll switch my meter over to ohms. Now at the relay itself, Honda green is ground, so this wire should have a ground. It does not. Now the gatekeeper for this wire is the neutral safety switch, which is back on the back side of the motor. And you can see it's pretty tore up. So I'll verify if the ground is even getting there at all. It's pretty bad shape. And that's supposed to be the gatekeeper to allow the ground to the starter relay. The relay is right back here. And these are the wires that go to it. Another thing I wanted to see how good the ground even was, period. So it's got good connection at the battery, and you follow the cable along. It goes down, down here, under, and then it goes to the very back, or the middle, actually right by the exhaust. Now, when I did that, it's kind of hard to see. Come on, light. The wire is right here is loose. The bolt is loose. I'm going to get in there and I'm going to tighten that bolt up so the ground actually has a good connection to the motor and the frame. Right now it doesn't have a great connection through. Then I'll see if power is getting from the fuse all the way up to this front, which has off and run, and then the actual start button right here. And you push the button, it's supposed to send power back through up to this brown wire right here, which then gives the power to the relay to turn the motor over. However, again, you have the gatekeeper of the neutral safety switch. They don't want you starting it if it's not neutral. Again, I just tighten up that, so the green, I tighten up that bolt right there. So now there's a good connection to ground to the chassis. welcome back, team. This is what's going on. So I have power to the relay. Power comes out of the relay when I bypass the relay. Power was going into the cable that goes down to the starter, okay, but it was not getting to the starter itself. So I pondered that. Went down here, pulled the cable off the starter. When I pulled it off, there was a bunch of, like a gasket. This gasket material stuck in between the actual cable end here and the nut. So with this off, okay, and with the so I have a perfect connection with it off. Oops. Touch up here. Beautiful connection. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, there's only one nut on it. I'm going to actually add a second nut. So what I mean by that is, if you look, let me get my flashlight here. It's kind of a hard angle. So if you look right there at the center post of the starter, I'm putting a nut that runs all the way up onto the starter with this O-ring, washer that has rubber in the center, so that it doesn't actually touch the starter. And then I'll run a nut on top of it to give it a little bit of a gap for the cable, because I think the cable's going to be sitting too close to the starter. So I'm going to try that real quick and see how that pans out. Okay. Look up in here at the starter here. So I put a bolt underneath, a nut underneath with a rubber washer so that it doesn't touch the starter, and then a nut on top to hold the cable in place. And then I came back up here and then put the cable back on the starter relay. And now when I bypass it, we have crankage. So now what I have to do is get the actual start button at the front to properly send power back here to start it. Okay, so pretty typical of this other stuff I work on. These wires, I don't think this is the same ignition switch that originally went to it. So now I have to determine what the fuck is going on here. Yeah, might be the original one, I'm not 100% sure. So somebody soldered all these together. Alright, this one switches out, let me test it. Alright, real quick I want to show you the ignition switch testing. So black white to the black with the key off, you should have connection. The key on, you'll lose that connection. Key on, gone. Key off, back. Okay, so same test for the other two wires. You're gonna have this red wire and then the brown wire. Key on, they should be together. Key off, they should not be. See? Off and then on, though, together. Okay, so then I rewired, this was all wired wrong, and then I'm rewiring it up into the chassis. So before I put the ignition switch back in properly, I tested it by just bypassing the red white wire to the black wire. Remember, Honda green is ground, so you don't. The way it was hooked up was it was hooked up to the ground here, which obviously you can tell kind of fried it. It's all melted down, but it's not touching power, so I'm just going to leave it. I already explained to the customer how to turn it off with the actual switch on the handlebars.
Whoa! 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 Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Careful. Whoa. Pockets? Where are the pockets? No, leave that alone, it's heavy. Hey, where are the pockets? Pockets. No, leave that alone. Come here.
Hey team, Wyatt back. So today we are finishing up with the 1985 Honda Odyssey FL350. After all the troubleshooting and getting all the wiring, it might be in the video that it did crank over about 2 times and the starter said, I'm done. So customer needed a starter. I did bleed the brakes and just do that electrical troubleshooting today. So hope that helped you out a little bit. Thanks for watching and like and subscribe. All right, bye.
Perfect.